Welcome to another edition of Mark's Inspiration, the Power is Within podcast. Glad you could join me here today in Hannibal, Missouri, the home of Mark Twain. He wrote Tom Sawyer and Huck Finn, and maybe some other books too. He was quite a famous guy. As I sit here and look out my window, I can see the place called Lover's Leap. And I'm going to talk about Lover's Leap today because there's a story. It's a it's a really high place on the Mississippi River. I can see it out my window here. I have an old home. I have a second home in Hannibal, Missouri. It was built back in 1886, I think. Anyway, but from my upstairs window in the bedroom here, as you can see in the background that it's under construction. I bought this thing like, I don't know, 5 years ago, and I got a roof on it, did some work to it, and just kind of stopped, got wrapped up with other things, the YouTube channel, different things, and it just kind of sat here, so I had not spent the night in it until about till last weekend, and I think I've owned it 6 years. I'm not sure, something like that, but I love old homes. So on Lover's Leap there, if you go up there, I can see the flag flying from here. I wanted to set it up so I would have it in the background, but I couldn't do that. It just wouldn't work out. So there's a story up there on a monument, and it talks about two Indians. There was a man and a woman, or a young brave and a what do they call her? What do they call her? The Indian woman. What is she called? I can't think of the name. Somebody put it in the comments there. Anyway, there was a young Indian lady and a young brave, and they were in love. Kind of like Romeo and Juliet, but they were from opposing tribes. So they would meet every night, or a couple nights a week, I suppose. Let the traffic go by here. A couple nights a week, I suppose, up there on that hill, because they wanted to be together. But the chiefs from the two tribes, their fathers did not want them together at all. So the story goes, one night they were up there meeting as usual, and the fathers came with braves. Both of them come after the two lovers up there on the leap. They did not want them together. So instead of being separated, they jumped. I don't know if they went into the river. It looks like they would have had to make a hell of a jump to make it to the river. But anyway, it's pretty high, it's a bluff, and they died. Because they would rather spend eternity together than to live apart. Now that's a nice romantic story, but it really is a portrayal of the dangers of romantic love. Because what did they accomplish? Together forever in eternity? Yeah, that sounds like something you'd read out of a book or see on a movie. I mean, that's all great and fine, isn't it? But what about the people they left behind? The people who are going to miss them? It was really kind of a selfish act. But these are the things stories, and especially love stories, are made of. And these are the kinds of things that women like to read about. Romance novels are about number one with reading for women. They like those stories, especially romantic love stories. But the point I'm making here is, just like Romeo and Juliet, people think that's some romantic love story, but it's actually a warning about the power of love. And it's actually not love. I think it's more the power of obsession, obsessive love, or obsessive attachment. I wouldn't even know if I would call that love, because is it love of yourself, to kill yourself because you can't be with the person that you love? I mean, as I said, that makes a good story, I suppose, but it's really not love of yourself, and I don't believe it's love of anybody else either. You leave these people behind. It's kind of a selfish act, and it's a ridiculous act, actually, because feelings come and go. The way those two young Indians felt would have passed after a time if they had gotten married and got together. When they papoose, is that what it was? The Indian was called a papoose. Once they would, or is that the baby? Once they would have had a couple of babies, and real life set in, he had to go out and hunt every day and take care of the teepee and all that kind of stuff, he might have been a little bit less likely to jump off the cliff for her, because that's the reality of a relationship. Not that it's boring or terrible or glum, but it's just reality. Some people live in a fantasy land, and then when reality slaps them in the face, they get disappointed. I'm all for believing that you can step into the reality that you desire, or some people say creating, but I believe all possibilities exist. And guess what? When you jump off the cliff with your papoose or your Indian bride, there's no future for you to step into, no possibilities for you to step into anymore. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem. Who knows? Maybe they could have worked something out. Maybe had they got together somehow, the two chiefs from the opposing tribes could have made peace. Because I've read stories, actually historical accounts, of they would have a man and a woman from the opposing factions, I'll say, that would marry, and that would bring peace to the land. So there again, they might have destroyed a chance for peace because they were in love, so to speak, and didn't want to be apart. And I don't know if that's a true story, but they actually have it engraved up there on a monument. So that's one of the dangers. And look at what happens to some men. What happens to them when they lose the love of their life, or the one as they think. They want to delete themselves. And I'm here to tell you, I'll be 63 this month, and I have had many ones. They all feel like the one when you break up, even if it's of your own choice sometimes. Maybe you don't feel like you're being respected, or things just aren't working right. Maybe it's nobody's fault, but just things aren't going right and you have to walk away. It's really hard because there's an attachment you have to this person, and it's difficult. I remember when I was 21, I had dated this girl for 5 years, and I wanted to date other girls. Now, I had cheated on her before, and I'd started boxing, I wasn't drinking or doing drugs, and I started to have a better conscience. And it bothered me. I did not want to cheat on her, and so I wanted to do the right thing, so I broke up with her, and she went on, and the next guy she met, she got married to, and she's still married today, and I went on, and well, my life's an adventure, but I didn't marry the next girl I met. I wanted to run around, and it's exactly what I did. So these feelings come and they go, and there was a time when I thought she was the one. Actually, she probably would have made one of the best wives I could have ever had. I think highly of her today. We didn't have any ill feelings when we broke up. It was hard for her as well as for me. And I do remember one time I was drinking, and I called her. I must have went back and got drunk again. I called her one night, and she was in bed with her boyfriend. So kind of felt bad about that, and who became her husband. I let that go. I never contacted her again in that manner. Although years later I did email her just to see how she was doing. But these things, and I've had other women that I broke up with, and I've walked away from all of them, but that's not to say that I was the man that walked away. What it was I was being disrespected, and at the time I thought I was being cheated on, which later I found out I was, and I just walked away from it. Very hard to let go, especially when they keep coming back. I know a lot of people talk about letting go, and you gotta let go, you gotta do this, but I understand if you're having trouble letting go of someone, because that can be very hard. And what do some guys say? The best way to get over someone is to get another girl underneath of you. And there is some truth to that, but unless you go through the process, it's a grieving process when you break up with someone, it's always there. And I believe you project that in your future relationships, and you don't want to do that. So I think it's good. Women rarely do this, but it's good if you break up with someone and you've had a long-term relationship to not get back in with somebody. They call it rebound sometimes, right away. Because you never have time to heal or to get over the other relationship. So you carry all this baggage with you into your new relationships. You need to deal with whatever the problems were that made that relationship, that made it come to an end, or look at your part to where it didn't work out. What part did you play in it? And don't put the blame on the girl. And a lot of guys want to always, if she's cheating on you, why is she cheating on you? I had to ask myself that. Why was she cheating on me? Well, I was not fulfilling my duties as a man. I mean, I was being the good husband, the good father, and all that. But in our culture today, here in the U.S., you have to be more than that. And that's one of the reasons I don't date here in this culture anymore. I'm not saying I wouldn't. There are some good women there, but the most women, not all of them. It seems like, how would I say, the majority? Well, I can't say the majority. Let's say this: there's a lot of women that don't understand what it means to commit to a man, and maybe there's a lot of men that don't understand what it means to commit to a woman. A commitment in marriage is this: one day you're going to wake up and not feel like you love your spouse. Guess what? It may last a while. Just because you don't feel like you love them doesn't mean you should leave them. Feelings come and feelings go. That's when you make a choice to love. Love is a choice. It's not some feeling. That's more of an infatuation. That's the honeymoon stage. That's the, I just want to be with her. I can't live without her. There's going to be a day you wake up and you think, I can't live with her. I don't want to be with her anymore. But that doesn't matter. It's just a feeling. It will pass. Just like the feeling of being in love with her and not being able to live without her passed. These feelings come and these feelings go. Now, I'm not telling you to ignore your feelings. What I am telling you is to be aware of them, and what are they telling you? What are your feelings telling you? Not that you should act on every feeling. Maybe there's something you need to do. Maybe you've become complacent in the relationship. I've done that many times, and that's basically what happens. And then the girl starts getting bored with you. She's looking for something else because you're not being the man that you were when she met. Yeah, a lot of times us guys think, okay, you get married and you go to work, you bring home the money, you take care of the kids, you raise the kids, and really that should be enough. I mean, I'm not telling you to ignore your wife, but you still need to date. And one of the mistakes I made with the last woman I was married to, we had 6 kids, and we should have, and we could have, dated at least once or twice a month. Got somebody to watch the kids, and we should have just went out. And we didn't do that. And I think that was part of the reason why she started looking around. I thought I was doing everything I needed to do by just going to work, taking care of the kids, because we had a lot of kids. I had 6 kids with her, raising the kids. But you still need to have a little bit of that romance that I spoke about at the beginning of this video with your wife. Even if you've been married a year, 2 years, 5, 6 kids, 2 kids, 1 kid, 10 years, because that's what you did when you guys met. You have to maintain and be the man that she fell in love with. I mean, you guys complain about she gets big, she doesn't take care of herself, she doesn't wear makeup anymore. And I understand that, but what about you? What are you doing? Are you still the man that she fell in love with? The man she fell in love with was probably growing and achieving and reaching out to do things, to accomplish. Now, are you still doing that, or are you just maintaining things? By going to work, coming home, watching TV, not doing anything, not stretching forward, not taking risks, not pressing on, pressing out. Are you still hanging out with your buddies, or did you quit that? Do you just come home every night and sit around, mow the yard, and then have a beer or 2 and go to bed? Is that what you did when you met her? Obviously, you can't do the same things you did when you were dating. Everything, but you can keep that same gist up, if you want to say it that way. That same, you got to have a little mystery. You need to have a life of your own. But your life is with her and the family together, but you need to still be going to the gym, taking care of yourself. As I said, what were you doing before you guys met? Very important. Well, I'm going to cut it off here. I just want to do a little show here. Probably this summer I won't be doing too many shows because I'll be up here working on this place. I've let it set a long time, and I want to get it wrapped up, so I'll be upstairs anyway, so I can stay here this winter sometimes. It's nice to get away from the 6 kids, and makes me appreciate them more. So thanks for joining me. Hit that like button and subscribe, and I will see you later. Take care.